Today I'm going to take a look at solving two-step equations. Remember, the goal is to get your variable by itself. And so in this case, how many numbers are bothering that variable, keeping it from being by itself? Well, two of them, the 6 and the 9. And so that's why we have two-step equations. It's going to take 2 steps to get rid of both of those. So which one should we get rid of first? Well, let's just try the 6 for a minute. The 6 is multiplying. How do you get rid of multiplying, dividing? But here's the deal. I would have to divide both sides by 6. And already you can see 39 divided by 6 is not going to be pretty. And then, kind of like the distributive property, this would become 6x over 6 plus 9 over 6 equals 39 over 6. And although my x would be by itself on the left-hand side, all of a sudden I've got a bunch of fractions. So a good rule of thumb is to actually get rid of whatever's adding and subtracting first in like 98% of the cases. I will show you a situation later on where that's not true. Okay, so let's show it the way I would normally do it. To get rid of that plus 9, I'm going to use this opposite, negative 9 on both sides. This cancels out, becomes 0, and I get 6x equals 30. And then how do I get rid of something that's multiplying? I divide. So divide by 6, that becomes a 1, 1 times x, and then x equals 5. That was a lot prettier there than with the fractions. All right, let's go for another one. What are you going to get rid of first? If you said the negative 14 that was bothering the x, I would agree. So I'm going to get rid of it with a plus 14. And I do that to both sides. And this becomes a 0, and 18x plus 0 is just 18x equals. This becomes 0 also. And sometimes students get, there's no solution. Yeah, 0 is a number, so treat it like a number. I'm going to show the process, even though we probably should already know the answer to this. And I'm going to divide by 18, and then x just equals 0. All right, let's look at another one. This does not look like a two-step, but it actually is. So follow along with me. We're not getting rid of the 16. We're getting rid of the 17 because the 17 is on the same side as the t. The 17 is positive, so I'm getting rid of it with a negative. So negative 17 on both sides. And this becomes a negative 1 equals a negative t. And so some people are like, oh, that's just it. That's a negative 1. No, because negative 1 equals negative t. And so to show a process here, we're going to, I'm going to use a different number thing here. What number is in front of the t? Well, a negative 1. So if I divide this by a negative 1, and then whatever I do to one side, I must do to the other side. And so I finally get, as an answer, positive 1 equals t. Now here's where I wouldn't care if you didn't show the process on this one. So let me go back to where we had this one. Negative 1 equals negative t. Well, let's think about this logically. If negative t equals negative 1, then positive t must equal positive 1. So in this particular situation, I would not care if you showed me the process or not. All right, what are you going to start with? I'll probably just start with the positive 2, getting rid of that. How do I get rid of positive 2 and negative 2? All right, so both sides. This becomes a 1. This becomes a c over 5. This is now just a one-stepper. Remember how I get rid of a number that's dividing? I multiply in the numerator. So I'm going to put little parentheses here showing that I'm multiplying over here also. So 5 times 1 is 5. These cancel out, and there you go. C equals 5. Hopefully you can see that if you have the process with the one steps, this is really pretty easy. You just do 2 one-step problems. All right, what are you going to get rid of first? I'm going to get rid of that negative 7. How do I do that? Positive 7 here on both sides. All right, that gets rid of this. I'm going to rewrite this fraction. Equals 12. Now, do you remember how to get rid of a fraction? Just multiply it by its flip, its reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply by negative 5/3. Okay, put a little dot there. Negative 5/3. And these are just going to cancel each other out. And negative times negative is also positive, so I'm going to have an x equals. All right, this is 12 over 1. So I'm going to do this over here to the side. Negative 12, or 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. And then 1 times 3 is 3. Oh, what's negative 60 divided by 3? Negative 20. And there's your answer. I'm going to show you two ways that you can do this, and then I'll tell you which one is my favorite. We're going to start with the distributive property. So I'm just going to do my little rainbow arrows, and I'll have 5x plus 30 equals 25. And now it's just a simple two-step problem. Get rid of the 30. I'll have a 5x equals negative 5 divided by 5 divided by 5. X equals negative 1. All right, that's the one way. I'm going to do this one. Remember how I said once in a while you might divide before you add or subtract? Well, first of all, I got to tell you, you cannot get rid of the 6. You can't. This is a no-no here. I'm going to do it in red. All right? You can't do this because the 6 is actually in the middle of this multiplication problem. That 6 is not really a 6, it's a 30. So you can't subtract out of parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that real fast. All right, now I'll write in green for this one. But remember, I can divide. If I divide, I can divide the whole side. And since this is on the left-hand side as a multiplication problem, I can actually just get rid of those, simplify, and I get an x plus 6 equals 5. Then minus 6, I should get the exact same answer of negative 1. So in this situation, you can either distribute or you can divide. Which is my favorite? Oh, I like the second one, the one I have in green. It just seems easier to me. Okay, here's the last one. And this right here could be written if you wanted to. I'm going to write over the side, x over 4 minus 3 over 4. So I can distribute that 4 that's dividing to both of them. But that's kind of ugly. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and erase that. All right. So how am I going to attack this? Well, notice the whole thing is being divided by 4. And so I can sit there and go like this. And I can put a 4 here and a 4 here. I'm multiplying both sides by 4. And just like before, these two cancel out. So I have an x minus 3 equals a 32. Oh, now I'm just adding 3 to both sides. And I get an x equals 35. How would I check that? We'll put 35 back into the equation. 35 where x is. So 35 minus 3 over 4. That is 35 minus 3 is 32 over 4. And 32 over 4 is an 8. And that's what the other side is. All right. It's your turn to go do some two steps and have some fun.